Can you repeat that again, Carrie? I didn't hear.
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry. So if you have other people in your room with you who are like attending the session, you're just using one computer, if you wouldn't mind typing their name into the chat, just so that we can see who's here for attendance. And I think we're probably going to get started, but this group is going to be a little bit smaller. So hi guys, welcome. I think I know everybody on here, but if you don't know me, I am Carrie Commerdell. I'm the division head, a division head at the Kenner Discovery Lower School. I am a big tech person. I love technology and education. And so if if we go virtual, you'll probably see me more if you're at DJOD, but if you're on main campus, you'll definitely see me around a lot. I'm going to go ahead and get started. There are no stupid questions when it comes to Nearpod. There are no stupid questions when it comes to technology. This is a brand new platform for all of us this year. So please ask away. This is also, sorry, round 3, I'm doing it. So like in my head, I feel like I might be repeating something or I've already said something. So if I like skip over or you're like, can you slow down? Please just type it in the chat feature. I probably just am getting ahead of myself. I have 2 screens, so I'm monitoring the chat too. So if I'm going through something and you have a question, please type it in. I might ask you to unmute yourself because I got my speakers working. So let's get started with Nearpod. I'm so excited. We're going to do a couple of different things just to show you what Nearpod is, why you might want to use it, what it might look like. And so if you have never used Nearpod before, you've seen it because we've used it during our PD presentations, but Nearpod is a presentation tool. I like to think about it as like PowerPoint on steroids. It's like the way to convey information to students, but it's also a way for them to interact back with you. It's a way for you to get data from it, and it's just a really great way to increase engagement. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I am going to show you how to create a Nearpod account. And you're going to love it because it's super easy. So our wonderful administration bought us a district license for Nearpod this year, which is great because it has so many more features now that we have the paid version of it. Anyway, it's just wonderful. So you are already rostered into Nearpod. So all you have to do is go to nearpod.com and it looks like this. And in this green box in the middle where it says teachers, all you have to do is click log in. You don't have to sign up because you're already registered in the system. So all you have to do is click log in. And all you have to do at the top next is click log in with Google. You click your school email. And you're good to go. You're all set. So when you open yours up, you won't have any of this stuff right here. These are all slides that I have created. Yours will be most likely empty, and that's just fine. So here is our home base for how we're going to create our Nearpod slides and create our presentations. Before we do that, I would like to get to know, this group and see what we need to focus on the most. So I am going to start a Nearpod lesson like I was a teacher, okay? So here's how you do that. The lesson that I'm going to start is this one that I've already created. It's called Nearpod Level 1. So I promise you I'll go back and show you how to create it, but I just kind of want you to keep this in mind from the teacher's standpoint. So I've already created this lesson, Nearpod Level 1, and when I hover over it, it gives me 2 choices. I can present it as a live lesson, or I can present it as a student-paced lesson. Now, those are exactly what they sound like. Live lesson, right now, you and I are live. We might not be in the same room together, but we are currently looking at the same thing together. And so I want to be able to see, I gotta sneeze, hold on, sorry. Oh goodness, it's gonna pass. Okay, I wanna be able to see your answers in real time. And I also wanna be able to control the slides. I'm gonna press next when it's time to go next. You won't be able to go toggle back and forth between slides on your own. However, if I want this to be a student-paced lesson, say it's we're in school, but this Nearpod is actually a center activity, I'm going to do student-paced lesson. Say I'm an online teacher, and this is an activity that they're going to be doing during their asynchronous time. I would do student-paced. That way, students can go through the slides at their own pace. They're not waiting for you. You don't have to be doing something at the same time. it still has the collaboration features, and I'll show you how that works. So they can still see other students' responses. They can still see stuff like that, but they're just not waiting for you to click next slide. They're going through it on their own. However, for the setup that I have right now, we are live here together. I want a live lesson. I want to talk through it with you. So I'm going to click live lesson to launch my Nearpod. You'll see that I already have 2 launched because I've done this presentation 2 times, but I'm launching a brand new one. So it's going to start recording brand new information for me. You won't see either of these 2 other presentations. You won't see their responses. I just want to show you this because we're going to have to conceptualize this year in terms of we have our, especially in the month of August, our Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday classes, and we're probably going to want to teach the same thing on Monday that we do on Tuesday. And so this is a really nice feature for you to be able to present a Nearpod on Monday and then present that same Nearpod again on Tuesday with different data and information, and it collects different information, but you're not having to recreate the same thing or make copies of it, okay? So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to launch a new live participation because we're here new together, our group 3. And this is where we get those codes that we've been sharing with you all week. It just auto-generates it for you. So there are a couple ways to share this. You could tell your students, go to join.nearpod.com and put in this code, which I would like for you to do right now. However, there's a link right here at the bottom where if I copy this link and I paste it, right now I'm going to paste it into the chat, but you could paste it into your OnCourse classroom. You could paste it into an email, I guess that might work for you as well. But just think about that as well. So could everybody please either go to join.nearpod.com and put in the code RUSXO or click on the link in the tab. Is anyone else not seeing my screen? Star, you might just need to click on the little guys at the top, the little people. Find where it says carry presentation and click on that one. Or sharing screen. Could you type in the chat box or give me a thumbs up if your video's on once you are at Nearpod and you've put in that code, or you're ready to go and you've put in your name? Thank you, Beth. Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen so you can see what it looks like from the teacher perspective, but you're looking at it from the student perspective. Okay. So if you look at my screen, you can see that I am waiting to start the activity. So this stops students, if you're doing a live session, now's the time where I want to give directions. I don't want you going to click through it before I've given you all the directions, or maybe not everyone's ready. You're waiting for people to log in. So this is a nice feature in the live lesson part of it where you can start the activity when you're ready. So for example, I would say on the next slide, it's going to be a poll. The question is going to ask you how comfortable you are with Nearpod. So please give me an idea about how comfortable you are with Nearpod. And I'm going to click Start Activity. So if you see on my screen, it's showing us it in real time who's answering and what they have answered. It shows you who you're still waiting on. Awesome. Okay, so now you can see that, there's a timer at the top, so I could tell my, the students, you have 5 seconds left. If you haven't answered, make sure that you answer so far. You've got the code, Ms. Davenport? Okay, there you're in, I see. Okay, so now I want the whole class to be able to see it. I can see the results over here. I see most of us have chosen C. I was able to easily use it, but I haven't made one myself. Some of us have clicked near who. I don't even know what this is. We were having trouble with it. So no one has used it frequently or have made 1 or 2. So that's great. This is a great first time for us to go. That gives me an idea that I need to go through the basics of it, which is perfect. But I want you to see everyone else's results. So I'm just going to press the share button, and you can see that it's now sent to your device that the results of the poll, excuse me. So because we're live, now I'm controlling the slide, so I'm going to press next. And what you should see now on your screen is just this static image. I have just put an image because I want to talk to you about what is on this. So to give you a heads up on these are the activities, some of the interactive activities that Nearpod has that are embedded in the presentation tool. On the next slide, I'm going to ask you which two of these stand out to you the most that you would like to learn the most about. So just as I'm going through it, kind of think about which ones you think you would best be able to use with your students, or which ones I kind of feel like I've got that. I want to learn more about this one. So I'm going to ask you to pick which two stand out to you the most. Okay, so I'm going to go through each one and explain what it is. This time to climb is that quiz-like activity, but it had all those little people climbing up the mountains, if you remember that from one of the presentations. So it is really just a quiz, and Nearpod will give you the results of the quiz. It will give you all of the scores from the quiz. It auto grades each student. However, it just makes it more of like a game for students than like, oh, here I have to take my exit ticket again. So this is a really fun tool. You can hide students' names if they get too competitive. We know some of our students do. But Time to Climb is really what it is just it's a quiz, except it's like a game. So that's a really cool, and you can convert any quiz you make into a time to climb, but we'll talk about that as well. But it's really just a quiz. An open-ended question is exactly what it sounds like. You can ask students a question, and what's really great about this is that they can answer in two different ways. They can type it, or they have an audio recording feature, which is fantastic for our K-4 population. For some of our children who, typing a long answer to something is not really appropriate. Or if we need to provide an accommodation for a student, audio recording is a great way to do so. So they can just record their voices answering the question, or they could type it. Matching pairs is also what it sounds like. You can have students do an activity where they're matching a picture and a word, or they're matching two words. They're matching a mammal with the animal. They're matching a math equation with the solution. So those are just the matching pairs activities. That also is graded for you as well. Quiz is a quiz, multiple choice questions. You can add many of them. You can also add videos within the quiz, which is pretty cool. So if you've used Google Forms in the past and you've been able to add videos or images in there, Quizzes does the same thing, and I'll show you how to do that. Flipgrid, a lot of us are familiar with Flipgrid. If you are not, and you would like to learn more about Flipgrid, that is a video tool that we use to interact back and forth with students. It's one of our favorites, especially for our K-4 population, because it's really user-friendly for the littles. It's a great way to assess their knowledge from afar. If you are interested in Flipgrid, that is kind of its own separate entity. I'm going to talk tomorrow in level 2 about how to incorporate this into Nearpod. But email me and say, can you send me the Flipgrid tutorial? Because I have a Flipgrid tutorial. I have a few of them that you can watch on your own time and just sort of figure out what Flipgrid is if it's something that you want to use. So if you're interested in that, please do send me an email and I will forward along that tutorial. Draw It is a really cool one with a lot of different possibilities. So on its just face value, Draw It would just be the slide would be a student's, and for students, it would just be a whiteboard basically, and they would have a pen they could write with. They could type something in there. So, you could say, okay, draw me a circle, if you're assessing shapes in kindergarten, or I don't know, whatever else you wanted to do with your whiteboard, write the answer to this equation, or give me, something like that with a whiteboard. However, you can also upload a background image to Draw It, and students can draw on top of that image, or PDF. So you could upload a worksheet and students could write on top of it. You could upload a reading passage and students could highlight, because there's also a highlight tool, and I'll show you all of this as well, but students could highlight all the short A words. Students, highlight the sentence that gives you a clue to the meaning of the word adventurous. So there's lots of different applications for this Draw It activity. Collaborate is something that you've seen before. That's that board that has all those little different Post-its that pop up, and people can type in real time and you can see their answers. You can also use Collaborate in student pace. So remember, right now we're in the live version of Nearpod, but you can send this Nearpod lesson to students to do at their own pace. On Collaborate, they'll still see other people's Post-it notes, it just will be whoever's done it before them. So say Carol and Katie have already completed their lesson for the day. They've already completed their collaborate. I'll see their 2 Post-its, and then I'll be able to post my own. Whoever comes after me will see all of ours. So you'll still be able to see your classmates' answers, but it just won't be as in real time because if it's student paced. Poll, we just did a poll. You saw what that looked like. Fill in the blanks is also exactly what it looks like. You can type a sentence and take a word out, and students have to replace the words where they belong. And then memory test is like kind of like a flip over the cards memory game. Can you match the 2 shapes? Can you match the 2 numbers? This to me is more of a fun activity than a graded. Most of the rest of these are graded or can be graded for you, which is great. So I want you just to take a second and think about which 2 of these you want to learn the most about so I can focus my energy there. And of course, I'll show you almost all of these, but just so I can get an idea of which ones you're like kind of excited about or want to learn more about. So just take a second and look over those before I go to the next slide. Okay, so this is our Collaborate board. If everybody can look at my shared screen, I want to show you this really cool feature of Collaborate, which says, would you like to approve student comments before they are posted? This is very nice because you can not let anything show up until you have approved it. So if you are doing this in a student-paced session and students are answering at their own time, they're at home, or they're in a center and they're doing it at their own pace, and they're typing things in, nothing will show up for other students to see until you have approved it. So, some of our friends like to go ahead and type some crazy things in there. And so we have the capability with Nearpod to say, I'm going to need to approve that before it gets posted for everyone else to see. However, I trust you as professionals and I want to see what you're doing in real time, and I don't want to approve them. So I'm just going to say no. I don't want to approve them. So, but everyone in here, could you now type 2 of those activities that you're most excited about using in your instruction? Quiz and draw it. Okay, awesome. Time to climb, Flipgrid. Okay, cool. All right, it looks like draw it and time to climb are our big ones. So I'll make sure that I focus on those, okay? Love it. Awesome. All right. So I am now done with this presentation for the live session of it. So as a teacher, I'm going to go ahead to the top. I'm going to click the back arrow and I'm going to say, do I want to leave this session? Yes, I'm done with it. So now it should be done with it on your end. You won't be able to go back and forth. If you went back with the same code, it wouldn't open it up because it's a live session and it's done. Okay. So you don't need, if you are on your personal device or like that, you can just come back and watch the screen because now I'm just going to take you through some examples of Nearpods that I've created, and we're going to go walk through creating how you do that. Okay. So this Nearpod that I'm going to show you is one that I created for my 3rd grade intervention students last quarter. And they were reading Charlotte's Web, and I planned a Nearpod review activity for them. So I'm just going to preview this for you. And we're going to look at it, what it looks like together. Okay. So this first slide is just an image, and something that I love about Nearpod for our K-4 students is they have an audio feature or a video feature in almost everything. So for our pre-readers or our struggling readers, or just for convenience sake, you can add your audio, which I think is wonderful. So I just added some directions for the day.
Hey, my 3rd graders. Today we're going to review what happened in chapters 18 through 21 of Charlotte's Web. You have a quiz tomorrow, so make sure that you go through each slide of this presentation.
Okay, so some of this is really great. So we talked about, Nearpod you can use live when you're together. You can use it in the classroom, but it's also great for virtual. So I know that we know as teachers, the more that we can be with students and model things for them and with them, the easier time they will have doing this independently. So some of these things, these tricks and just the formatting of Nearpod, it's best if you plan to use this tool virtually, that you're also using it in person, so that you can teach kids, hey, when you see this play button at the bottom, make sure you press play and listen to what it has to say, or, you know, here's how you go through it at your own pace. Here's how we go through it together. Just so you're teaching them some of those things, so that when they go to do it independently or at home with their parents, they are the ones that know what to do and they can do it more independently, okay? But so that was my first slide. Just wanted to give them what was going to be happening during this lesson and, you know, what the purpose of it was. Now I also have text, but I also read it aloud at the bottom. So think about accommodations. This is a great way to provide accommodations as well. This is your read aloud right here, okay? So I said on the next slide, look around at a fair, use the arrows on your keyboard, and think about if Wilbur or Fern would have seen the same things that are at this fair. What might they have seen that was different? So on this next slide, you're going to see kind of like a virtual reality sort of setup of a fair, because in Charlotte's Web, Wilbur and Fern are now at the fair. So I put this little VR of a fair. Students can look around, look at things. Like, what would Wilbur and Fern have seen this stuff? Is this stuff different? What would they have seen? What might they have not have seen? Very cool, okay? And then when they keep going, their next activity was a Flipgrid integration. So here's what Flipgrid looks like. I asked the question, why do you think Uncle won the blue ribbon? And they answered their responses below, which was great. And what I love about the Flipgrid integration with Nearpod is that they don't have to go to a different site. They're not going anywhere else. It's all embedded right there in Nearpod. And it just makes it really easy and simple. So here's what the quiz looked like. I said in chapter 2, you know, there's the question, but I also included an image with this question. So this is something that is helpful if you have students in person, so that you can teach them that if they click on that image, it gets bigger, which is a big help, okay? So something great about quizzes, though, you could do text in an image, you could do text in a video. So you could say, have them watch a video and say, you know, who was the main character in that story that you just listened to, and have the answers right there. So quizzes have lots of different features that I'll show you as well. But this is the quiz question that I wrote. And this is a fill in the blanks one. So this is kind of like a close read. They take the words from the bottom and drag them to where they belong once they've read it, and figure out what words belong there, you know, most appropriately. Here is one of the collaborate boards. And so this lesson, I pushed out student pace because it was intervention. They were doing it at their own pace. They just had to complete it by the end of the week. And so I did put this board on approve, so that I could go back in and I had to approve those before they appeared for anyone else. And then this is a draw it that I did with it. So talking about draw it having lots of different possibilities, I said, what word do you think Charlotte would write on her web next? And I set the background image as a web. So students took this and they wrote what word they thought Charlotte would write on her web next. And so from this teacher standpoint, I'll show you what the reports look like at the end, what it looks like from the teacher standpoint. But anything they type, write, touch on here, it saves for you. So you could use this as a grade, as anything. It saves everything that they do on here, which is fantastic. Okay, so that was just a sample lesson of how it might look in K-4. You know, there's lots of other possibilities, but I just want to kind of give you an idea. We've really been working with Nearpod in terms of professional development presentations. So I just want you to think about the applications for our K-4 students. So let's go through, how did I do this? How did I make it there? Okay. Over here, it's going to say create your own lesson in Nearpod, lesson in Google Slides. We are going to hang out here in lesson in Nearpod. It seems like a lot of us are at a pretty, like, you know, uncomfortable level with Nearpod, and creating the lesson in Google Slides is complicated. So if you want to do that, absolutely, I'm here to help you. Come back tomorrow. We're going to be talking about creating lessons in Google Slides, the Nearpod lesson in Google Slides tomorrow. But today we're going to hang out right here and lesson in Nearpod, okay? So say I am teaching ELA, and I am planning a lesson about point of view, and I want to create a Nearpod lesson that goes along with that. So I'm just going to start my lesson in Nearpod by clicking right there. It's going to open this up, and here's kind of like our workspace, okay? So I'm going to change this to, this is my point of view lesson. And now I want to add my first slide. So we've talked a lot about the different activities that you can add and stuff like that, but you can also just add a slide with text on it. You can add a slide with video, and we're going to talk about how to do that. So my first slide, I just want it to be kind of like a title page. I want to say point of view, and I want to put my anchor chart on there. So I'm going to add a slide, and you can see that when you add slide, there are two different tabs at the top. One says content. So that's where you would put a video, a slide. We're not going to worry so much about this. This is more level 2 stuff. But over here on activities, where all those activities we just talked about are. But I want to add a title page with this text and an anchor chart about point of view. So I'm going to click on this one that just says slide. And when it opens, you can see that it has a place to add text, a place to add images if I'd like, and you can also change the theme. Okay, so I want this cute yellow theme, and I'm going to change my title page, point of view, and then I want to add an anchor chart right here. So something that I really love about Nearpod is that it has Google search integration right in there. So you don't have to go somewhere else, search for Google, save it to your computer, come up here. So let me show you how you do that. I want to add an image of a point of view anchor chart. I could just add more text here. I could add a video. I could add an image. You can see all the things you can add, but I know exactly I want to add an image. I'm going to search point of view anchor chart. And I'm going to include it right there. Okay, so this is just like my first page students would see, but I also want to add some audio. I want them to know what we're going to be doing today. So you can see at the bottom there are some features. You can add an image all the way to the background. Say you want the background of the image, which is this part all the way back here. All that's the background of a sunset or of something. You just make that look cute by doing that. On the layout, you can also change the way that this page is formatted if you want some more things. But the tool that I love with audio is right here. And the reason why I love it is because it's so easy to use. Audio, and then you just click on audio recorder. And then it pops up at the bottom. And all you have to do is press this and say what you want to say. Hi, students. Today we're going to be talking about point of view. Make sure you look at the anchor chart. Go through the slides. Go through the videos. Blah, 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 blah. So then you continue on. You can say whatever you want and save it. It's so easily integrated in there. I love that feature. So I'm done with my first slide. Here's my title page. I just have my title, an image, and some audio. I'm going to save and exit, okay? I changed it over here, the lesson theme, and so it is asking me, do I want that on every slide? Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to add a video. Now, ideally, I want to add a video of myself teaching, right? I want to add a video of maybe me doing a read aloud, or I want to add a video of me doing a quick mini lesson. But you can also add videos from YouTube. So just think about that. But, you know, ideally, I'd be like, okay, I want to add a video of me teaching. So I'd add a slide, and then you just add video. Great. Again, it's got a YouTube safe search, so you don't have to go find the YouTube link and come back over here. You can just search from here. But if the video of yourself is in your Google Drive, it is integrated with your own Google Drive. When you sign up, it's going to ask for permissions to access your Google files. And you want to say yes, because if your video is already in your Google Drive, it's right there. You don't have to go searching anywhere else. You can just pull it right from your Google Drive, which is a great feature for us since we use our drives a lot. I don't have a video of me teaching about point of view, so I'm going to search YouTube for point of view reading. Let's see. Okay, I'm a fantastic teacher, so I've already gone through and vetted all of these videos, and so I know that this is the best one right here, so I'm going to pick that one. And now the video is there for students to watch. So the first thing they did was saw this anchor chart. Now there's a video. Now I want them to do a quiz about the video, let's say, okay? Now, you guys talked a lot about wanting to do time to climb, so let's do that instead of our traditional quiz. So say that video was a read aloud about a story, okay? And I want them to answer some questions about that video that I just posted on the previous slide. So I'm going to click on time to climb. And it pops up just like you would expect you would format a quiz. So I'm just going to make up some questions here. So here's where you can add an image, and you can also make the answer options images as well. So there's a lot of different possibilities there when you're thinking about math. So which one of these is a quadrilateral, and you could add 3 different images. If you're talking about characters, pick if we're talking about our kindergarten, first graders, which of these is the main character, and you put pictures down at the bottom. Okay. And then you could just keep adding questions. Oops, that was an answer, sorry. You can just add another question. And you can add multiple answer choices. Okay, so you'll see that each question has a time limit next to it, and that's where you can change it. So say your students, you've noticed that when you did this in person, your students need a little bit more time. If you click on that, you can give the students more time. You can give them less time. Say this is a faster question. The other ones, you can change it per question. So say one of them is a really lengthy one that they need to read a lot of, you can give them more time on that question to answer it, okay? And once again, you can just add an image here if you wanted to, I don't know, add a picture of the main character, the book cover, whatever it is, okay? So we save that. Oh, sorry, you have to choose which one is the right answer. Okay. But that's actually a great thing about Nearpod. I think it's very user-friendly. It prompts you exactly what's going wrong if you need to fix it. And so, great. Okay, I'm going to pause 1 second. Beth, can you record from Nearpod? Can you record? Are you asking if you can record a video from Nearpod, like you record the audio?
Can I record myself from Nearpod? Like, can I have the camera look at me and do my lesson through Nearpod, or do I need to do it like on YouTube and then upload it to Nearpod?
Thank you for asking that question. That's a good question. No, it does not have a video directly feature in it. So you'd have to video yourself and upload it to YouTube first. Okay, so now we've got our slide, our video, our time to climb, and now I'm going to do a draw it activity because that's something that you guys expressed interest in. So I'm going to add a slide. I'm going to go to activities and I'm going to click on draw it. Okay. Now here are the directions and here's this. If I just put, and I don't know, whatever my directions are, and I press save and I don't put anything right here, all that's going to pop up to them is a blank whiteboard. Now, like I said, there are many uses for that. So there might be a lot of reasons why you just want them to have a blank whiteboard. Your direction would just need to be more clear. Make sure that you, in the space below, draw a landscape. In the space below, draw a quadrilateral. You can also add a video. So say that I wanted to add a video here, and after they watch the video, for my kindergarten people or first grade, you could say, draw a picture of your favorite part of the story, something like that. Okay, so just think about those applications. For here, I'm going to say, complete the worksheet, okay? And I have a PDF right here of a worksheet practice of point of view. So I can upload it from my computer, but I'm just going to drag it here. And it's going to place this as the background. This will be frozen. They won't be able to move it. They won't be able to touch it. Say I only want them to do, 3 of the questions. I can make it bigger so that they can only see part of it. I can change the size of it, move it around, all that great stuff, okay? If your image showed up funky, you can flip it around, whatever you need to do, all right? So I'll show you what that looks like. I'm going to save that. Okay. I'm going to add one more because I want to show you something. I'm going to add a matching pair. Match the picture and image. And then I'm going to add a pair. So once again, super easy in here because you don't have to go anywhere else to search for this stuff. Here you go. Add another pair. This clearly has nothing to do with point of view, sorry, but I just wanted to show you a couple of features that, that it has. Okay, so say this is my first time using Nearpod. This is my first time creating a matching pair, and I'm like, I don't know if I did this right. I don't know what it's going to look like to students. Each of the slides at the bottom has this wonderful, beautiful button called Preview. So when you click on Preview, it shows you exactly what it looks like to the students, and it lets you play around with it. So it lets you say, okay, but then what happens if they go like this? So if a student, you're trying to troubleshoot with a student, they say, when I open this, I keep getting red X's. And you're like, what do you mean? You're like, oh, I see. Well, you must have clicked the wrong pair. So the preview button is very nice. I go through the whole thing and preview it before so that I know what the students, what students are expected to do. Another thing that's on each slide is this timer button at the top. So this could be used in student paced and on live sessions. So in student paced, maybe you don't want them to spend 4 minutes just matching pictures. So you set a timer for it. Or in live, just to get, give yourself some time management, you could say, all right, I'm setting aside 60 seconds for this matching activity, and then we're moving on. So you can set a timer. As soon as this timer's up, the activity is done, and it moves on to the next. You can move on to the next slide, okay? So those are just 2 features that I wanted to show you. This preview button is a really great tool, and then that timer button is also a great one. So here is our Nearpod that we've made so far, okay? And let's go through and let's preview the lesson. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to say, okay, I have everything I want. I'm going to save this lesson. I'm ready to go. Now you can see that's right here in my library. And when I hover over it, it gives me those 2 options. Once again, live lesson or student paced. And then once again, here is a preview button. Nancy, yes. So if it's an activity like a quiz and they don't complete it in that time given, it just says like not attempted or incomplete. So be mindful of that. That's a good point. Thank you for pointing that out. So you might want to make sure that you're increasing that time for some of those things that might take the students longer, and you don't have to add a timer. So if it's something that you want to give them unlimited time on, especially thinking about accommodations and things like that, you don't have to add a timer to it. So some things might be suited for timers better than others. So here's this lesson that we made. Let's look at what it looks like from the student point of view. All right, so this is what it looks like from the student view. Once again, they press play at the bottom to hear what we said. Here's the video we put in there. They play it right from here. And here's that quiz that we made. All of a sudden, it just looks fun, like a game. We didn't even have to do anything. We just put the quiz questions in there, and they'll be able to go through, and all the little guys will move up the mountain. So time to climb is super easy to create. It's just like creating a quiz. And here is our draw where it says complete the worksheet. So this is another thing why it's really great to have students there with you when you're first teaching them Nearpod, is because this is in my way and I can't see my whole worksheet. All you have to do is click on it and it disappears, but that's just a little thing that, kids, I can't see it. I didn't do it because I couldn't see the top of the page. So just make sure, that you teach Nearpod in person as much as if you can, if possible, or go through it slowly, teach those procedures for it so that students understand how it works, okay? So now this is their worksheet. Now they can take it and it says they can go through and circle the different answers, and it's going to save this to you and send it to you so you could grade this worksheet, okay? So they're drawing on top of the worksheet, but they can't move it. They can't do anything else. They could type, but they don't really need to right here. And they don't need to write their name or anything like that because it's going to save it directly to their name. So that's what that draw it looks like from the student point of view. And then the last one we did is our matching pairs. Okay, so that's the lesson that we created. Awesome sauce. Before I move on to what it looks like on the reporting end, does anyone have any questions about what I just did, or have any further questions, want to see something else before I move on to what it looks like, what information you get from it? Okay, so let me show you what it looks like. I am not going to choose one of these because I know that this one right here, this presentation, I have given twice, okay? So I know that I have some information, some data from it. So any lesson that you've delivered already, if you hover over it, there are 3 dots at the top. There are 2 main things here that you're really going to want to know about. Share with teachers, and I'm going to talk about that right after I'm done with reporting, okay? And then reports is down here at the bottom. So I'm looking for information about how students performed during this session. So I'm going to click on reports. I'm going to click on this again. And you can see that, I guess I launched this a lot. Oh, you know what? Let me pick a different one. Sorry, that's not the one I wanted to see. So once again, you click on the one you want, you click on reports. Okay, so I delivered this lesson twice. I delivered it on June 1st and I delivered it on July 23rd. So this, you'll see, you can deliver the same Nearpod presentation to your kids that come on Monday and then again to your kids that come on Tuesday. All you have to do is click live lesson again and generate a new code so that you can separate that data. Unless you don't want to, you can always keep it all together as well. I'll show you how to do that. But so I really want to see the information from this session that I did on June 1st. So I'm going to click on that. And here is what the reporting looks like from Nearpod. You can see a summary, so you can see it by student and you can see across how they performed on each of these different activities. So that's just like a kind of a quick glance. Then you can go through each activity and it breaks it down more. So in this poll, here's the whole class, but then here's what each person answered. The draw, it looks like this. So like I said, it saves. Here's the person and here's what they drew. So it pulls it up for me like it's a saved image now. So I could see the responses to their worksheet. I could see what they put on there, what shape they drew. The matching pairs tells you how many attempts it took them and how many they got right. So there were 5 pairs, but it took her 7 times. So I know that she might have been clicking around a lot. I might be having trouble with that. The collaborate is really cool because you can go back and see what people posted, which I think is a really cool thing. So you can go back and see what everyone's posted from. I mean, this is from June 1st. So that's a really cool tool to be able to go back and look at those different post-its. Time to climb, which is our quiz, right? Just in a fun game form. Gives us the questions overall. So we can see that people had a lot of trouble with that first question and then, maybe did a little bit better. Then you can see student scores. So if you're just taking a blanketed score from this quiz and you want to put it in your grade book, here's where you would do that. And then it breaks it down by question as well. You can see what they answered on each question. So a lot of information comes from this, which is fantastic because you can just take that and put it right over to your grade book. Flipgrid doesn't give you a lot of information. You just go look at your videos on your Flipgrid. But the fill in the blanks as well gives you a score. So it just is really nice. These activities are engaging. They're fun for students, but they also make it easier on you in terms of formatives. As long as you're intentionally planning these activities to match what you're talking about, it's graded there for you. You just have to move it over. So I love that as well. You can download this information. You can also share it. So I know a lot of people have our team teachers this year. If you want to share it to talk about the information or you want to see how they're doing, you can share that with another teacher. Okay. Does anybody have any question about reports? Okay, so I'm going to talk about sharing with teachers because I think that this is going to be a big one because we do team plan a lot. So I am planning ELA for my grade level, and I've decided that today we're going to do a Nearpod lesson. We're doing a Nearpod lesson on point of view, but now I want to share it with all the other teachers so that they can also now do their own, they can present the Nearpod lesson in their classrooms is the best way to put it, okay? So I would do is 3 dots, click share with teachers, and it's gonna give me 2 links to share, okay? The first link is a preview only. This one, when copied, just shows anyone what it looks like, but it doesn't give them the capability to present it. It doesn't give them the capability to interact with it. Like it's not giving them data anywhere. It's just to look at it. However, this tool might be great, say in your OnCourse lesson planner. This is something that I would really love to see. If you are planning to do a Nearpod lesson for that day, it would be fantastic if you linked this preview link in your OnCourse lesson planner so that I could go in and see what you're doing for that day. So you can just say Nearpod lesson and there it is. So that's fantastic. However, if I am planning ELA for my grade level, and I want the other teachers to be able to have their own copy of this presentation so they can present it to their classes, I would do this editable link, okay? So I could email this to them. I could send it, most of you have a grade level email group already. So when they click on this link, it's gonna open up and look like this. And it'll say, whoever sent it, so I sent it, Carrie shared a lesson with you, point of view. Would you like to add it to your Nearpod library? You click yes, add to my library. And then here's the great thing about this. It makes a copy just for you, but you can edit it. So say that Carrie planned this lesson, but she had her she has the highest performing group of learners and I have the lowest performing learners. And so I know that I'm going to maybe need to modify this lesson a little bit because some of it might be a little bit too complex for my learners. So I can take her skeleton of what she made with point of view, this great lesson that she made. I can click in the bottom left-hand corner, click edit and say, you know what? This matching pairs activity, my group of students, they're just not ready for that yet. I'm going to remove that slide. And instead, I'm going to add something else. Okay, so this is a really great tool for taking, being able to share resources, team plan, but also modify to meet the needs of the students that are in your class. I'm going to pause right there. Does anyone have any questions about that part of it? Okay. All right. So, oh, Nancy, do you have a question? Nancy, you're on mute. I can only see you. I can't hear you.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm pressing the wrong thing. Okay, so I share it with my teachers. And how do they generate a code to send?
Okay, good question. So now this is the copy of the one. So say, Nancy, you sent this point of view one to me, right? And I went in and I edited it, and I'm going to save and exit. But now it's in my library. It belongs to me. So all I do is now, again, I just hover over it and I click live lesson or student paste, and it'll generate that code for me for my own class.
Okay.
Okay. Does that, so like as soon as you share it and it belongs to them, it's no longer yours. The code will never be the same. Nearpod auto generates new code, so you'll never have the same code, all of that great stuff. So as soon as you share it with them, you won't have any overlap.
I'm sorry. So then when I get that new code, then I just send that through an email or a link or however I want to convey that to the students.
Right. Yeah. So, if they're in class, probably the easiest way would just be to post it on the board once they've gotten the routine of, how to get to Nearpod, or, as you're teaching them that. If they're virtually, you could put it in OnCourse Classroom in the directions, you could put the link or the code and have them do it that way as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And so just to reiterate, live lesson student paste, this is for when students are doing it on their own. And it does have this great link down here at the bottom. So if you are emailing it, you just send that link to students and they don't have to enter this code. It takes them straight there. So the link is a great option as well. Okay. Okay, I'm going to show you one more thing that Nearpod does have. I just want you to keep in mind that, you are the experts, you know what you're teaching, and you want to make sure that anything that you either assign or provide to students is aligned with your instruction. However, this is a great tool that I don't want to overlook because it really is a valuable resource. The Nearpod Library does have ready-made resources for you. So on the sidebar over here, down here at the bottom, it says Nearpod Library. You can see that it is separated by topic, and it has some other things like racial justice and COVID lessons if you're doing a social emotional or something like that. Here are just all the featured ones, but if you click at the top, there are a bunch of different things that you can search through. You can also just search at the top as well. But I am an ELA teacher, and this week we're working on reading comprehension, and I teach 3rd grade. So I'm going to look here. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that I'm looking at the grade level at the top to see if it aligns with what I'm working on. But okay, this is a 460 Lexile. Great, it works with ReadWorks. Cool, let's see what this lesson is. See if it's something that I might want to use with my kids. So I can preview this lesson. I can go through it and see what it is. So it gives you some teacher information. Okay. And gives the kids some information. And then it has the ReadWorks article embedded in here. And then it has an activity where they can write down, fill in the chart. So they could do some of this, who was involved. Okay. All right, so this is a ready-made resource for me, just as kind of like a reading comprehension practice. I liked some of it, but there's some of it I didn't like. There's some other things I want to add, no problem. So all I'm going to do is click add to my library. And then you can click show in my library, so it'll pop up right there in your library. And now this belongs to you. It's no longer in the Nearpod library, it's yours. It belongs to you, you can edit it, do whatever you want with it. So you'll see right here, it says this edit button right down here at the bottom. And there's some of those slides I just don't want for my kids. So I'm going to edit it. I'm going to edit this lesson. And then here are all the slides. So I don't want them, this slide was really directions for me. So I'm going to delete that slide. I didn't really like this open-ended question. I want to change it. So I can double click on it. I can change the question. I can do whatever I want to it. So there are resources in Nearpod, and then you can also add your own slides. So say this was great, but there really wasn't a great formative at the end. I want to add a time to climb quiz for my students at the end. You can do that as well. So there are ready-made resources, and they are editable, which is cool. So you can, start off with a jumping off point and then say, okay, I just want to add some of this. This is not really the way that I phrased it in class. This, so you can make it customizable to you and even customizable to your class. So going back to our leveled, our level classes saying, okay, this Lexile is too easy for my kids, or this one is too hard. Let me put a different passage in here. Let me switch up some stuff to make it fit the needs of my learners. Okay. So I'm going to stop there because that I think is probably about a good introduction overall, but I am happy to answer questions about any of what I just showed. Does anyone have any questions that they would like answered? Okay, if you don't have any questions, could you type in the box how you're feeling about Nearpod now? And you can be totally honest with me. It helps me kind of gear what level 2 looks like. So just type in the box, how are you feeling about Nearpod now? Are you excited? Are you still unsure? What was your favorite part of it? Just let me know. Good. Yeah, it is really user-friendly. I've sat through a couple of PDs with the people from Nearpod, and it seems like they are teachers. Like they have teachers in mind. They know what we want. So it's really great. Good, Katie. Yeah, I always like to play with stuff first. That's the easiest way for me to learn it. Can you link to OnCourse? Link to OnCourse. So it doesn't, in terms of OnCourse Classroom, it's not going to, it's not going to open up a Nearpod lesson in OnCourse necessarily, but you could put the link for students to go to the Nearpod that you wanted them to. So in OnCourse Classroom, in the directions, you could say, click on this link, and then when they clicked on it, it would take them to the Nearpod lesson that they need to do for the day. So it's definitely, it's easy to input that link into OnCourse Classroom. It just doesn't necessarily it doesn't embed itself well in OnCourse Classroom, but it's definitely easy to link it over there. How long should you expect planning the lesson take? That's a good question. Depends how long you want it to be. It depends on what kind of resources you have and how comfortable you are with Nearpod. I would say that lesson that I planned for Charlotte's Web, I was probably pretty comfortable with Nearpod. And it probably took me 20 minutes, if that. Yes, Nancy, not live, but recorded lessons of yourself, videos. Yeah, recorded videos of yourself you can put into the slides. Live, no. I guess you could, I'm trying to think about, yeah, live, no. You'd have to do like a Google Meets, and like we're doing right now, kind of. You'd have to do a Google Meets and your Nearpod at the same time. Awesome, Donna. Awesome, awesome. Okay, guys, well, fantastic. If you do want that Flipgrid tutorial, please email me and I'll make sure I send that to you. And if you want to learn more about it, please come back and join tomorrow, and I'll show you some other cool things that it has. I always find the best way that I learn is by playing with things. So feel free to play with it. And as you're playing with it, you're like, Carrie, I don't remember what you said about this, or how do I do this? I'm happy to help you. I really like Nearpod. I think it's really cool. And the kids, I'm telling you, the kids love it. My reading intervention kids, when I posted Nearpod lessons, like almost all completed it. When, I posted other things, not so much. So the kids do love it. They love it interactive. It's gamey. It's got videos and stuff. So yeah, lots of resources too, Yvette. I love that too. I think it's nice to have that jumping off point, especially when you're starting. You can go look in that library and see like, okay, what can I do with this? What resources can I use? So, well, fantastic, guys. Thank you so much. Email me with any questions, concerns, comments, suggestions. If you find something cool, let me know, because I'm still learning it too. So thank you. Have a wonderful lunch and in your classrooms. Awesome. Oh, good. I'm glad. Thank you. Thanks for the feedback. All right, guys. See you later.